It is a pleasure for me to introduce you to these two dudes. They're amazing. They're dental hygienists. They are business owners, self-starters, everything that epitomizes the do community. They have all these qualities, and they're so generous with their time and talent. And the first dude that I'd like to bring on, we kind of generated this call today. I've known her for quite some time. I was so amazed at the work that she was doing, just trying to get help for cancer patients. And it was her brainchild, and she did it without even thinking about monetizing it, or it was just purely to help people. And she's turned this into a business that I really want you all to embrace and get to know. And I hope that you'll help me welcome Jill Meyer-Lippert. Thank you. Hello, Jill. Come on in. Hi, how are you?
Hi. Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing just great. And tell me a little bit. First of all, you started your side effect support. How many years ago?
7 years ago already.
7 years ago. Yeah. And I remember, do you remember our first call? And you were just like, I just want to help everybody. And I remember thinking about that. And don't we all start our businesses like that, right?
Yes.
It's something we're called to, and we figure out a way to make it happen. But before we get started on this today, I know that you wanted to bring in a colleague of yours, a dear friend, and I love her as well. Got to meet her at Patty DeGanja's little breakfast that we did at Chicago Midwinter a couple of years ago. And so if you'd like to introduce our next guest, and we'll all three be in here together, why don't you go ahead and do that?
All right. Her name is Corinne Jameson-Kuehl, and we all call her Corey. And been very honored to have her as a great friend for many years. And now she is also a boss of mine. So, so we work very closely together in a lot of ways.
We do that term boss a little loosely, though. I think Jill's the boss of me.
I don't think so.
Hey, welcome, Corey. Welcome. And I get that.
Thank you.
You hire somebody that has strengths that you don't have, right?
Absolutely.
And then all of a sudden, I'm working for Rebecca. If Rebecca gets on here, she's my strategic one, and it's wonderful. You know, that's when the magic really happens, when you find somebody that you can really work with, you trust, has different strengths, and to complement each other. So that's wonderful. Well, welcome you two. It's wonderful having you. I'm going to leave your websites down at the bottom so people can learn more about what you're doing. And, how did you guys tell us how you started working together? Like, where did that all begin? Because I love the collaboration. And, we always say one of our mantras, good do's find good do's.
Yes,
and,
for sure.
That's, again, the magic happens. And that's all part of why we started this movement, is to just really connect everyone and bring everybody together, because there's so many amazing women in dentistry that we don't know yet. And we have to all rise together because we're stronger together. So tell us how you two met and how this collaboration started, what's your goals. I'm just anxious to hear about both of your businesses and how they come together.
So it's kind of unique. Jill and I met probably about 5 years ago. Is that right, Jill? Maybe a little bit longer. And we met over an email initially. So our relationship was kind of a little crazy from the beginning. It was a long distance relationship without meeting face to face. And at the time, I wanted to create an awareness of oral cancer in the state of Wisconsin. And I thought, well, this is a huge undertaking. I'm not going to be able to do this by myself. And so I was working in a dental practice, and a dental assistant said, hey, do you know Jill Meyer-Lippert? She's the owner of this company called Side Effect Support, and they provide product information and education to oncology patients. She is a great resource for us in dentistry because she can help us as hygienists and dental assistants and dentists give the right product information, give the right, overall knowledge that we don't necessarily have in dentistry. And I said, no, I've never met this person. I need to meet her. So looked up where she lived, and she's about 2 hours from where I live. I sent her a LinkedIn email and said, hey, I understand that you have this passion for oncology. I have this passion for bringing people together. And what do you think about doing the Oral Cancer Foundation in the state of Wisconsin? And she's never met me before, didn't ever know anything. And she goes, sure. So as crazy as it sounds, it really started just by that. And then when we finally got to meet face to face about 6 months later, we shared a hotel room. So talk about like absolutely having nothing other than a relationship through email and a phone call and some common passions for the dental community. And we met and we've become such good friends since then. We worked very well together in the oral cancer events that we did host, due to the strengths and weaknesses of our personalities. And then Jill made it very clear that she was looking to get out of the op totally, leave clinical hygiene. And so we kind of kept talking about how that looks. And she's also very familiar with my business, Custom Dental Solutions, and the private practice support that we offer our clients. And so it just seemed logical to offer Jill a position as our community relations manager for our company. And she's been with us now over 6 months. And it was just a really easy transition. It was someone that you already knew well, someone you already knew work ethic wise would be a great fit. And again, her strengths accentuate my weaknesses. And she's a great team player for our business. And so it's really fun to do something like this and be able to talk about how wonderful she is and our company and what she's doing with her company and how we can work together so beautifully. Because sometimes I think people don't understand that partnerships really can work, and great relationships of strong-minded, strong entrepreneurial women can work together within the right framework. And so, we're just enjoying our time, obviously, as friends and then as business colleagues. And yes, she does work for Custom Dental Solutions, but we've been just blessed to have her as she works part-time for us, so to speak. And then she can obviously continue working with side effect support from home as well. So it's really been working out beautifully.
Well, that is so neat to hear. And I think that more people will be inspired to look within their circles, right?
Yes.
To find that perfect match. So let's go back to, okay, so this has been, Corey, how long have you had Custom Dental Solutions?
So I've owned Custom Dental Solutions, well, probably about 7 years also, but I rebranded about 5 years ago to bring on other team members because our services kept expanding. And so many of those areas were out of my scope of knowledge and practice. And so we brought on more team members, and we've lost some team members too, just like any business. You bring on people that maybe aren't the right fit for different reasons, or perhaps it's not the right timing in their life and they go on to something else. And so, for all of us dudes that are small business owners, it is a challenge to build that team of people that are amazing to keep growing your business. And so thankfully, pre-COVID, I would say we were having the best year we had ever had. And it was really exciting to see the growth in our business at Custom Dental, and looking to add 2 more employees. And unfortunately, that's probably going to be a little bit on the back burner, maybe until the fall. But so we basically support small private practice ownership. And we're at a place in our business now that we can do that for the administrative team, our clinical team, HR, even with having Jill on the team of providing them information about products and so forth in the practice. I feel really confident that Custom Dental Solutions provides the full package for our private practice owners. So we have a lot of fun doing that too.
Well, I think it's a great fit because with Jill, I want to go back to how you started side effect support, because that was 7 years ago then. So you had your business starting. And I think this is the cool thing about women is you can have a couple of gigs. And I totally believe in having 2 or 3 gigs going on at the same time, even within your business or outside of your business. So,
right.
You've got the connections, Jill. So tell us how you got started with side effect support. And I can see how that can really help in Corey's business as you both build dental custom solutions and side effects support. How'd you get started, Jill? What was the motivation behind, this startup?
It was motivated by something that happened many years ago. My mom was actually diagnosed with breast cancer back in 1992, and that started a fire in me wanting to learn more about the subject, and it just kept growing throughout the years. And I remember at one point being so frustrated with seeing the lack of help that there was for our patients, and even the lack of information for us as professionals. And I think at one point I actually said, why isn't somebody doing something about this? And all of a sudden it just struck me, and I'm like, well, why aren't you doing something about this? And it really made me sit back and think, what could I do to make a difference? And I eventually created a volunteer program. And then when that was coming to its end, because it was all dependent on donations, I decided to try going further. And it was a difficult thing to build while being in the operatory for 4 days a week, because my head wasn't there, my heart wasn't there, and was working on this every spare minute before work, on my lunch hour when I got home. So I really knew that I either needed to make some kind of a change and put more focus into it, or it just was never going to be what it could possibly be. So it was such a blessing to have the opportunity to do more from home, and not only build this up, but then also complement what Custom Dental Solutions is and provide that support to the clients there.
Yes. So did you jump straight from 4 days a week to not working in the op at all? I can't remember.
Yes.
Okay. Usually you go 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, 1 day. I'm still working a half day. So that was a big jump. That was a big jump. Did you build your business up to the point where it replaced your salary, or was you just a leap of faith?
It was a leap of faith. I just got to that point. I needed to make a change, and that was the best way to do it. I figured every time I make an excuse to slow that process down, the less likely it would happen.
Okay, I love it. Well, that's called courage. And, another principle, I love bringing up the principles of do, but it's like, you just do it, right? You just have to make that decision. Like it's when I started slam the phone down. I'm going to just start this. And I just know that, the passion and you both can relate to this too. When you have that purpose, right? That you have a purpose, that it is bigger than you. And, it does get you up out of bed in the morning. And get you excited about the day. What I like is the fact that you guys are collaborating, because I think, you've built one thing over here, Jill, and Corey, you've built this, and then together you can take your contacts. How does that work with you? Because now, Corey, you're able to bring a little bit more to your clients, and Jill, it's opening you up to clients. I think, I remember calling on offices because I have a heart for the side effects. I was an OxyFresh, and actually years ago, and the alcohol-free mouth rinse. Jill, remember you and I talked about that. That was such a great product for, people going through chemotherapy. And I just remember knocking on dental doors. It just seems better when you're knocking on the door with two people versus one person, right? It's a team effort there. So how did you guys... So have you noticed a big difference then in how you feel like you're growing? You said you're having the best year ever, Corey. Yeah. So together, have you seen that also grow your side effects business, Jill? How's that working out for you two?
Good. I think it's a matter of having those connections. Those relationships are everything. So having the relationship with Corey helps me to meet more people. It helps get the word out more about what I can offer, and vice versa. So I think it just expands our networks.
Mm-hmm. I think from a timing standpoint too, is the type of business that Jill has requires her to kind of be in a space that's uninterrupted. So she can tend to questions, she can fill orders for her oral care kits that if you don't have in your practices, you need to purchase. So make sure you see her website for that. So it's really cool because the position she holds within our company is incredibly flexible. So the work that she does interacting with our clients and providing them the resources and information they need doesn't necessarily fit into this 9-to-5 style job. So that, I think, is probably the biggest cool element of it, is that she can work her business in the hours and in the environment she needs to, still doing custom dental solutions types of things. And there are time to time that obviously we need her to be with us all day on a Tuesday or something like that. Because she is starting to come with us to some of the practices to be introduced as a resource to our clients, and introduce her to the dental hygienists and the doctors, and just say, hey, here's a resource for you that, this person is, in my opinion, a product expert. You have questions on your oncology patient. This is your person. And I'm probably a little biased. I just don't believe there's anybody better than Jill that understands the oncology patient. And if you've ever heard her lectures or her CE that she gives, she's an expert. She's outstanding. So we're thankful to have that on our team, to be able to offer that to our clients, her educational knowledge and the CE that she brings also. Yeah.
I mean, it's about the credibility. I think it's really cool. It's almost like when you go to college, they say, don't room with your best friend because it might ruin the relationship, right? But you guys know each other well enough. You respect each other. We're mature women. And again, I like the idea that you trust her so much. This is the perfect gig, a perfect side gig to go along with yours. Because Corey, you're working full time, obviously, in this business of dental solutions. So
I've been an entrepreneur. This is my third dental business. So I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. I haven't been a clinical hygienist for, in a traditional sense of the word, for years, maybe not even ever.
Okay.
And I've been in dentistry for 25 years. So, back when I owned my first business, it was a dental staffing company, and I didn't need, I could do a lot by myself and obviously have other managers and things like that. And then when I went out on my own and did a therapy business for several years, that was also more of a solopreneur style. But then rebranding Custom Dental Solutions to bring on more team members, more people to grow the business, that changes things, because then you're becoming an employer where you need to hire people. And sometimes, even though I think I am pretty knowledgeable in personality styles, as we do a lot of those with our clients and things, sometimes I've made the wrong hiring choices too. I've hired people that I shouldn't have trusted. I've hired people that maybe weren't the right fit because they were looking for other things that I couldn't provide for them as their employer. And so it does seem strange thinking, gee, you're going to bring Jill on and potentially ruin a friendship. And I didn't feel that way. I really felt at peace with it. And I had experienced something, a level of a tremendous distrust within the company and a year prior. And so it took me a while to kind of get over that and to feel comfortable wanting to hire somebody again. And so the thought of bringing Jill on, I thought, man, if you look at our personality styles, total opposites. If you look at what drives us, what motivates us, incredibly complementary. So to me, that seemed worth taking a risk for. It seemed like, no, there are going to be disagreements. There's going to be misunderstandings, as there is with any relationship, I'm sure. But because we use the science of the personality styles, we communicate in that manner. And I think it helps us understand one another. And I don't have any concerns. I only see her growing in my company more, and growing to her dreams more, and growing side effect support to what she wants it to be. And plus our clients get a wonderful person in Jill communicating with them. So I think it's a win-win.
Yeah,
it's definitely a win for me. I think Corey really, I just wanted to share one thing. We talked about something earlier this week, and once again, she made the comment, if it doesn't bring you joy, you shouldn't be doing it. And I thought, well, how lucky am I?
Yeah. That's a beautiful, isn't that a beautiful boss, so to speak?
Yes.
And I think partly, you've seen the success in Corey, and Corey, you've seen the success in Jill. I mean, that when you're looking to hire somebody, Jill's a self-starter, certainly. So a lot of times when you're hiring employees, you don't want to babysit them. And I think Jill's proven, obviously, that she knows what needs to be done, and that you can count on them. I mean, that's the real key. I mean, the culture certainly has to line up. And as a leader in hiring people, it's I think our job, as I can relate to this, and I see Rebecca on. Hey, Rebecca, Kathy, hi, dear. Hello, Janice and Christine, and I can't pronounce Abrahonic, but welcome. I'm so glad you're here. But you have to, the culture is so important, right? I mean, and you have to be able to communicate that, because it's really all about culture that keeps people with us as we grow. I mean, we have to really have it in our hearts to grow together and not fight against each other, because the common goal or the just cause is always greater than the individual pieces. So that's really key for you guys. And I could just see that no wonder you had your best year ever, because you finally found a good fit. And when you finally find that, and not that you haven't before, because I think people leave for all different reasons.
For sure.
Entrepreneurism is not for the faint of heart, right?
No, it's not.
It sounds great, but people don't realize how hard we work, right? Yes, and the sleepless nights that we often have. But we do get up in the morning and decide what we're going to do today, because we are in our own businesses. And I love. It sounds to me, Corey, that Jill and your relationship, and Jill, you and Corey, you're both almost entrepreneurial in your own right. Jill's taking ownership in your business, Corey, and you're taking ownership in Jill's business, because you love each other. And the only way you're going to really win is if you each grow together, right? And separately and together, which is so cool.
I think that was one thing that was really neat, though, too, that I think we had it established before working together, that if the other one would have ever needed something, we would be there, and we would be the first one to help. And if we didn't necessarily need anything to be gained from it. And once we had done that for each other so many times throughout the years, it just made sense. Then why not do this for each other and both gain from it?
Yeah. And especially when you're talking about somebody who's seen you in your worst and best moments. And, that is so huge, because again, you're talking very different personality styles here. You have Jill, who's pretty level-headed, not very emotional, pretty direct and logical. And then you have me, who's just like, I thought, she's got to be crazy if she says yes to come work for us, because she has seen me in some pretty stressful moments. And so if somebody can take your good and your bad and understand where you're coming from and accept it, that is such a huge way of growing your business too, because it takes a long time to be at that trust level.
Yeah.
And so when you hire someone completely that you don't know, and everybody's on their best behavior, for studies show about 90 days. And then, then you think it's going to be great, and things kind of maybe start going downhill, or whatever the case might be. We didn't have that with our relationship. So technically, yes, she's been out of clinical since September, but it feels like she's been with our company longer. And the other team members for Custom Dental Solutions, I think, have really grown to love Jill also. She's just slid right in there and been a part of the group. But again, utilizing the information that we knew from personality styles and from what drives people, it's been really very enjoyable.
Isn't that neat? That's great. Well, again, they say you're lucky, Jill, but you really, you lived a life to get you to this point, to be so generous with your time and talent when, Corey would call, and vice versa. I mean, that's when you know that that you can have that trust level. And, it takes a while to figure out where that bar is, right? I mean, like how much you will accept from somebody and how much you won't. And so in your employees and in the people that are working for you, because Rebecca's on here, and like we've been just a great match made in heaven. And as we build, I feel like we're building it together. And then you see along the way people that maybe aren't doing what they say they're going to do. Once, twice, 3, 4, it just gets to the point where like, this, we might have to make a change here. And it's not like, I remember Kurt Brudnitz at one time said that you're just releasing that person to find something that he or she is better suited to, right?
Absolutely.
But when you do find that, it's really magical, isn't it? When you find that person that you can trust implicitly on the good and the bad days, and know that you'll be there. That's a good friendship, but there's nothing wrong with work. The best thing is working with a great friend, right?
Yeah, for sure.
What is I know that you've talked about this before, Corey. I feel like we talked about it, and Jill, you and I too. What's your personality? What's your go-to personality test? Because, we love the strengths. We're all in the strength finders here, but what is don't tell me more about what you're looking for. Did you guys do a personality test at all before the hiring came?
Yeah, for sure. So one of the solutions that we offer at Custom Dental Solutions is we do pre-hire and team building personality assessments through DISC. That's a pretty basic one that most people are familiar with. And that's our style, our how, our communication. And then we take it a couple steps further and we do a driving forces. So you not only do you know someone's how, but you know what motivates them. So that information is really valuable if you're going to be an employer, because if you know what motivates somebody, you can fulfill their joy. And when people are joyful, they're not going anywhere. They're going to stay on your team. They're going to promote your business, and they're going to live a fulfilled life. So we've also just started implementing more of the EQ. And we do an assessment for EQ as well. In fact, I see some of our friends that are posting in the chat box over here are part of our master reboot class that we're taking right now. So I'm cool. Kind of smiling because I'm seeing these names and I'm like, there's Janice, there's Christine, there's Kathy, and they're all in our 6-week reboot class right now. So they're here supporting Jill and I, and that just really makes me feel awesome because we do a lot of team building. We do a lot of interactions. Wonderful. And this is just fun to see them and their support for Jill and I right now. So as far as getting back to what we do, and we've done strength finders at Custom Dental Solutions too. I think that it's great. I think all these different assessments you can use to build your team or to know more about yourself is it's so necessary, because life is so short. Why would you continue to be miserable when you can maybe find a few simple things that would really bring you joy? And so we did utilize a personality assessment, which is how we knew, we probably knew before we took the assessment that Jill and I, our styles were very different. But then what drives Jill versus what drives me are also different. So one of the things that Jill is really driven by, which is clear in the business that she has, is she's really highly altruistic. She loves to give, and she loves to give with the sake of nothing in return. And so for her, that's something that brings her a lot of joy. So to make sure that in my company then that she has an opportunity to give with nothing in return on a daily basis, so she's completely fulfilled. And she's also highly collaborative, loves to collaborate with new ideas, loves to help, doesn't need the spotlight, doesn't need to be this big shining star, just really wants to be a great team player. So some of these different qualities and what drives her accentuated what drives me. And so that's what makes it really fun too. And other team members on our team have other things that drive them and other personality traits, which is why we can continue to grow and motivate the way we are. And we see even with our friends that are in the chat box over here too, the group that we're doing, it's a little kind of a secret group. We only opened it to a certain amount of people, and we've been doing it over the next 6 weeks, kind of this during the COVID virus. It's an emotional reboot class is what we're doing. It's been so much fun, number one, to lead that, but also to grow as a group, to learn more about ourselves. And we're working on our emotional intelligence as we're all cooped up inside, and we're all shut down. And many of us, our businesses are not thriving right now because we're closed, right? So we're kind of wrapping our brains around some of that. And it's been really fun to interact with with everybody in that respect too. So those are the personality styles that we use. We go into dental offices and use them. We offer pre-hires for all of our clients. Like we do a ton of HR. So we don't want to recommend somebody that we haven't vetted. And we do that by utilizing a disc and utilize it by what drives them too. So
well, so for a couple things. First of all, it's not going to be a secret group anymore because we are live on Facebook.
Right.
Okay, so there is that. It sounds great. So you have to
Yes.
let's get an article about that. I want to know what comes out of something like that.
We'll do.
That would be fantastic. And so, and how often do you meet, Corey, for this boot camp?
Yeah. So this
a reboot. It's called a reboot.
Yeah,
I guess
it's called an emotional reboot.
Okay.
And what happened, Anne, was so Custom Dental Solutions does offer continuing education. And so 2 weeks ago, we offered CE Thursday and Friday, where we did DISC and driving forces. And then on Friday, we did emotional intelligence. And so I'm, done with my class on Friday, and I'm getting ready to have my, Friday fish fry and my good old fashioned Wisconsin drink. And I'm getting pummeled with emails from all these wonderful people that took this class and said, we need more. We need more. So at first I said, no, I'm not here to do this. Like, this is not, I don't want to do it this way. I want to do it face to face with people. I'm a people person. I don't want to do this. And it just was one of these things that I think God just kept putting on my heart and said, no, you got to do this. This group needs you and you need them. So after 2 days, we closed it. There's 20 of us. We can't take any more.
That's fabulous. Are you doing it on Zoom? Is that how you're working it or what?
We do email. We've done some conference calls. So we're meeting 3 times a week. So every week we start with a little bit of each week we have our own theme. So last week's theme was motivation, getting to know yourself more and what motivates you. And last night we just kicked off self-regulation, self-management. And so we have some accountability groups, and this is a master level class. This isn't for people who aren't familiar with DISC or driving forces or the EQ. Everyone has had an assessment. They're familiar with the language because we use that a lot in the group. And it's a lot of talking about what's working for you from a motivational standpoint, the whole point is getting ready for our comeback. Because someday we are going to come back. We are going to be back in our dental practices. We are going to be coming back to the world as maybe differently as we know it. But how are we coming out? How are we emerging? Are we tired? Are we lazy? Or are we energized and ready to serve? And so I know for the group, and I appreciate the comments on the side, Janice, it has been a wonderful experience. I think the reason why I didn't want to do it initially is I didn't want to be accountable either. And now I'm accountable to these, 16 women and 3 guys who are all like, hey,
bring it on. Bring
right?
it on.
Right.
Yeah. Well, they're obviously searching. I think, people in general this is a great time to look inside of ourselves, right? When are we going to have this time to actually do something like this in a group effort, and then have some time to reflect and meditate on it? Yeah. Right. I mean, are you is everyone taking a turn, or how do you have the outline all together, Corey? How is that going with you?
Yeah. So we do an outline with our theme, and then there's some homework. So as with anything, what you put in is what you're going to get out of it, right? Mm-hmm. So some people, get their homework done in 2 hours and they're emailing me and saying, I want more information. I'm like, okay. Or some people are taking it a little slower and kind of marinating over the information. And again, some of us are fast-paced people. Some people are more moderately paced. It appeals to anyone's personality style. You can do whatever you want with it. I think this week we broke up into small groups of three to 4.
Oh no, I just lost her.
Oh, I did too.
Uh-oh. Come back in. We'll talk about that, Jill. Take over. So she's okay. 3 groups.
Yes. We are splitting up into smaller groups now. So we'll have our smaller accountability to each other and be able to review the information. And for myself, I know this has been really helpful to get everybody else's perspective on the subject matter, because with our homework, we have these certain questions to answer about ourselves, what our assessment said, how we feel about that, things that we could do to make a difference. And is so helpful to read what other people or to hear what other people think, because there's sometimes for myself, I look like, oh, I didn't think of it that way. And it just really helps to bring a new perspective into it.
Well, how do you figure out you go into different groups though? Are you doing that all together as like how do you do 3 different groups? Did you just tell us about that?
There's a combination. We do have the full meetings, like a full meeting last night we had with everybody over Zoom. And now we're first splitting up into the smaller groups, but we have, utilize a Google Drive quite a bit, where we can have the homework and different information that Corey puts together for us in our Google Drives and share from there also.
Okay. So then will you be accountable to this small group then throughout the rest of the series, or will you
That is the plan.
mix that small group up? Okay,
yes.
There she is. Hey, Corey's coming back in. Hello, dear. We lost you for a second there, but that's okay. Jill told us about the groups. Oh, that's okay. That's just technology, right? I mean, I've seen it on Good Morning America.
Self-regulation.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I'm the gremlin, because I feel like this whole week has been nothing but technological weirdness for me. So it's me. I'm sorry, Anne. That's my fault.
No apologies necessary. Trust me, we're just doing the best we can. I mean, I got it. Yesterday was a disaster, but today's a new day. Well, that sounds like a really cool thing that you guys are doing. And again, this is the best time I can think of. And you might be starting your own little movement there, which is really cool.
You know what, the best thing, Anne, is, and this is something that I think probably all of us that are awesome dudes understand, the best things come from things that happen organically, things that are forced, things that are just, either whether you believe in God or not, like they're God things that just happen, or, the universe and the stars align, because this group is just a really cool mix of people. We have people inside of dentistry and outside of dentistry. We have a couple.
I like that. Inside of dentistry and outside. How did you find your people? Because I'm kind of bummed out I'm not in this group, and I'm sure everyone listening to this right now is like, what?
So I know. And I'm not, this is hard for my personality, because I'm not an inclusion type of person or an exclusion kind of person. I'm like, everybody join. But I've learned through the years to get the most out of something. Sometimes you have to close off groups or just make things a little bit more specific. And so we do have a private Facebook group, which again, it's probably not going to be
Kathy says FOMO, yeah.
Right. So along with doing what I do in dentistry, I also have a group called Change Navigators, and that is teaching and coaching outside of dentistry. So that is where we use our personality assessments, and we're also coaching styles when maybe it's in manufacturing, maybe it's within the hair and salon industry. I have a couple other different gigs in that respect. And so the Facebook group came out of a group that heard me speak and say, can you create a group that helps us be accountable and helps us with affirmations and different things? And so the entrance to the group is really for everyone who's had their assessment, because we do talk the language in that group. That's important. And that's super huge. So, and then people in the group just share things that they've learned too, because the culture of the group is all it's all the same. So it came from there, that particular Facebook group. And then that's where the people in our reboot class are from. So I'm not opposed to doing another regroup. I want to definitely dedicate all my time, to the 6 weeks we're doing for this class. And then maybe in the future we would do it again, because I'm feeling, especially, as of yesterday and just some of the emails I'm getting, this group is really cool, and I feel like they're going to grow and maybe lead their own groups then, because that's the goal. It's not for Corey to do everything. It's for people to coach themselves or to grow in themselves and to take their leadership to what they've learned and help others. And this group that I'm with right now, hands down, every single person in that group would be able to do that if they desire. And I think a lot of them desire that. So I get excited about that. Because if I can help them kind of start that fire and see where they're going to take this, that really fulfills me. That fulfills my main drivers. So I'm excited.
I was going to say that is the key. I think we've been in small groups before, just within. I'm thinking of our parish, and The key is we had a small group, and then everybody started their own small group, and it's like so cool because that's how you make a difference. It's those little things. Well, we always say, do small things with great love. Those little things that you do and then spread it around. Why would we want to keep it all in one group? We're not all, there's so many great ideas out there. So many, wonderful people. And you do want to share a culture that is, inclusive, right? It's not exclusive.
Sure.
Everybody deserves an opportunity to grow from within.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to see where it's going to go.
Well, that's good. That's when you say yes. It's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And you get like 10 emails. You're like, well, I guess this is telling me something that I need to do. And, it takes somebody that, it's the courage to do it. So then you get your sidekick there with Jill. Hey, that would be your sidekick. So sidekick support. We'll give you your new name on that because everybody needs a sidekick. And sometimes Jill's a sidekick, and Corey, sometimes you're the sidekick. Right?
Exactly. I think, and the funny part though is, and I'm seeing this in our comments too. So the name Jill, we have 2 Jills at Custom Dental Solutions.
You say what?
We have 2 Jills at Custom Dental Solutions. We have Jill Lippert, and then we have Jill Shu. So Janice is saying, tag in Rockstar Jill too, because it's true. We have another Jill that we work with that is really outstanding as well. She's been great in the technological space for helping us out for sure. But
that's great.
Anyway, yeah, it's funny because we do have 2 Jills. But you're right. Sometimes your role is to be someone's sidekick in a certain moment. Sometimes, you're to be the sidekick, and it's kind of fun to be able to do both. And that's where the joy comes in, is when you can step aside and just let somebody else shine and be there to support them. And it's kind of fun.
You talk about culture. What culture we talked about, but the driving forces, I really like that because I think of it, again, I think there's a lot of different personality tests that are great, and I've done a lot of them as well. But I think of driving forces is you find out your purpose through that. To me, that's the motivation is purpose, and the purpose is always bigger than we are, right? It has to be bigger than us, bigger than one person, bigger than even the team. You've just got to have your focus. So I like driving forces is pretty cool. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So the assessment that we use for that calls 12 driving forces, meaning you have 4 top primary drivers that you really technically should be fulfilling on a daily basis. Those are the things that motivate you forward. That's what gets you out of bed in the morning. That's your why. You're finding your why. So I'm thinking don't you guys think we should probably send Anne we can send Anne a driving forces test, and she can take one so we can see what drives Anne. That would be fun. You'd love it. It's so awesome. So we have 12. Yeah. And then in the middle 4 are what we call our situational drivers. And sometimes that's how we feel in the moment. Maybe not something we're super passionate about, something we absolutely have to have. And then we have 4, what we call biases, 4 things that are, that we don't even think about, that doesn't even cross our minds. And so that's where the rubber meets the road. So when you're feeling conflict with someone, or you don't understand why they just can't do what you need them to do, when you see the way their drivers are stacked up and you say, well, good grief, Corey has an altruistic driver. No wonder she doesn't like to serve people. Just hypothetically, of course. So, it's one of those things where when you see that, then you really understand that person's not a bad person. They're not a lazy. They're not negative. It's who they were created to be, and what motivates them may not be what motivates you. And when it's in that bottom 4, they simply don't think outside of that because their top 4 are their focuses. So I guess I can surprise the group now because so many of them are watching. So I did a group wheel. So we're gonna do a group wheel on Thursday with our group. It's gonna be fun. And a majority of our group is driven by intellectualism, which means the love of knowledge. They love education.
Learners.
They love to be fulfilled. They're huge learners, right? So if we were using Strength Finder language, it would be our high learners, right? So it'd be the people that have learner in their top 4 or 5. And so when you know that about the group, that doesn't surprise me when I get emails 2 hours after homework has been assigned that they want more, right?
Yes.
So I know what drives them. I can give them more, but not everybody in the group is driven by that. So if I gave everybody the extra credit homework, it might overwhelm other people versus my high learners, my high intellectuals. So that's what's so cool about the drivers, is once you know what motivates somebody, it just opens a whole new world to how they roll. And that's why I love doing that. And some of you guys have seen me in that conference too, when I've done the Finding Your Why presentation. It's so easy. When you know your why, you never ask your what. You know.
Yeah.
You know. You don't have to sit there and think, should I get out of clinical? Should I be practicing in a pediatric office? Should I be staying home with my children? Look at what drives you. And then go on what drives you to move you forward. And that's where the fulfillment comes from. That's really the joy that pushes somebody forward. So we'll send that to you, Anne. We'll
that'd be great.
Take a look at.
I'd love to talk about. We'll have you back, and we can talk all about what's driving.
What's driving Anne to be the queen bee for all of us.
Oh gosh,
that'd be great. I'd love it.
That would be wonderful. I'd be honored for that. For that. So Jill, you know what? You've got some biases on the bottom. Did you take this once you met? When did you take the driving forces part of this assessment?
I'm trying to think exactly when it was. I think Corey actually had some type of a special promotion at one point that she was offering free assessments. And I thought, well, that sounds fun. So I contacted her to take one.
You're definitely on the intellectual realm. Oh, good, I can do more homework, right? I mean, that's
exactly.
Oh gosh.
So I took the assessment, and then we had a debriefing after where she went through everything with me, and we talked quite a bit about it. And of course, that stays on file for her. So although she knew me as a friend and we had worked together, I think it probably gave her a little bit more of an insight into things about me as well. So when the consideration of working together came up, that was all something that she could look at.
Like, let me think about this.
For sure.
Isn't that great?
It is great, because then the more you get to know yourself, you know what works well for you. So I can identify maybe certain drivers that is not a good fit for what drives me. Mm-hmm. And again, it's not anything negative. And I use the word release as well, just to release that person to go find what's best for them. It may not be with my company or with me. And that's where, again, when you match up what drives people, it really makes things very clear. I think too, when we see, because so many of us, like even in a marriage relationship, we've married our opposites, most of us have. But I look at like my drivers and I look at my husband's drivers, and we have 3 of the top 4 drivers. So yeah, we may have we might have different personality styles, but we're driven by the same purpose, which is really
which is what are you driven by? Because we know that Jill is driven by helping people and being that conduit to what they need and what they will get. What's your driver, Corey? What is it?
So my top 4 drivers are commanding, which all of our group can silently laugh right now. And that's okay. Again, we don't apologize for any of our drivers. So that is somebody who likes to be in charge of their own destiny, likes to create their own identity, and generally likes to be the leader. Mm-hmm. So when I look at Jill's, one of her top 4s is collaborative, which is the opposite of commanding, loves to support that person with high commanding. So then I'm also driven by high resourceful, meaning what's efficient, what's the best way to do something, what's my return on investment is a very strong value, which is also those 2 top drivers also my husband shares. And so I'm also driven by objectivity, which means functioning well in chaos. Probably why I was a good hygienist when I was in a practice, because and why I owned a dental staffing company. I could run around and do
That's
all these
chaos.
different things. It's total chaos. And
Yeah.
it didn't bother me. It didn't grieve me at all. Although we see it sometimes when people are not high and objective and they're in those situations, they're incredibly stressed. So then it's like, hey, that doesn't drive you, not your thing. And then I'm also driven by high intentional. I like everything with a purpose. So that's again, Jill's driven by high altruism, nothing in return. For me, I do want a purpose. So we often say that our high altruistic people are the ones that would give to any organization, anything at all. For high intention, it doesn't mean that we're not givers. It means there's a purpose with our giving. So, breast cancer research is a strong thing for me because of my family history. That's something I'll give towards. Whereas if somebody asked Jill, to give towards something and she didn't have a personal connection, she probably would still give. And so that's just an example of how that is different. So it's really fun to, again, see those drivers in people. And then when people are struggling in their work life or in their home life, we look at those top 4 drivers and we ask them, are you being fulfilled? Are we seeing those fulfilled? So if you're high intellectualism, are you doing something every day to fulfill that learning? Are you sharing that knowledge with someone else? Are you applying that knowledge? Or if you're higher and harmonious and you love the balance in the surrounding, are you getting outside? Are you taking a yoga class? Are you doing these things to fulfill you? Because people might relax in different ways. Yoga's not for everybody. But I can tell you, all of our high harmonious people, they're all in yoga. That's something that gives them strength and balance. So that's what's really neat too, is looking at how just a few simple tweaks, really can save you a lot of pain and heartache just by understanding what drives you. And they say too that that usually stays the same. Your drivers don't change too much. I do think that sometimes in life we go through different circumstances and maybe even traumatic experiences where we'll see levels of even your personality changes, just like with strength finders too. Sometimes those shift around, your top 4 maybe shift around again, depending on what's going on in your life. We see that with our assessments that we use too. But as a whole, your personality is generally formed by 13, 14 years old, and that's your style. But then what drives you is mostly the same. So, I think, again, if people are interested, they can contact us. We'd be happy to send them out. But we are definitely going to do one with Anne. That'll be fun.
Oh, that'll be so fun. I'm excited.
Thank
you.
Sure. Yeah.
I'll be interested to see. I'm sure everybody else will too, because, when you were talking and I was thinking of Jill and you. So, Jill, you're the good cop and Corey, you're the bad cop most of the time.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. We're going to go with that.
That's when I go back on good cop. Let's play good cop, bad cop again, because I don't want to, that's why I need somebody strategic, because I would just love to do this. I just want everybody to get together and really like each other, lift everybody up, and it's going to be fun. And then I think it was probably about 8 months into do, my husband's like, Anne, you know what, darling, this is great. I'm glad you got your purpose and all that, but we can't keep paying, going through our 401ks for this. We got to figure something out to have the purpose. I'm a little different take on purpose, because I feel like we all have a purpose, but the purpose is a little different. But so that's going to be something that we'll talk about. So that's just it's just, the language, right? And a new way to look at something.
Well, that's why it's so funny that you say that, because we get at Custom Dental Solutions, we get the Do magazine, of course.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. I love it. I'm old fashioned. I love to read.
Oh, good.
I get emails too, but I want to physically read. So keep that up. But I'm paying for that too, because you have to have income. You don't. Yes. And that's sometimes the struggle with certain drivers is that you don't think necessarily about that bottom line because you're serving so much.
Right.
And so that's why when I see those types of things, and then I have my female dentist sign up, like, you have to pay for this magazine. Oh, okay. You have to support, because I know in my heart, like, sometimes I have that feeling like, all right, what's Miss Anne doing here? She's given, but we need to make sure we're supporting financially too, so that mission can continue. So but I would guess a lot of times people don't think that way. So it depends
Yeah.
on where you're bent. Some people think, oh yeah, this does cost money, I should contribute to that, or give with nothing in return. So
Well, and that's why you're going to be good for Jill and her
Yeah.
business, right?
Yes.
Because that's
Absolutely.
you really want to make it a business, because if you make it a business, and this is part of what we need to, I want to focus more on with the Do community, is to be able to have a business, and that someday that we will sell our businesses, right? Because
sure.
I mean, that's just being smart and logical. And, you know, so often I think women will build something because they want to, it's in their heart, and that's all good and dandy. But how effective can we be long-term if we don't learn how to grow the business? Because everything,
Absolutely.
you know, nothing's free. It's like you get all that, I mean, I don't know about you, but I do have quite a bit of makeup samples in my drawer that I clean my drawer out and I still have, because I just can't give it away, but I don't really value it. I think sometimes you have to, it's just like services, and just the fact that, you know, now you've got Jill working with your company, for your company, it gives a little more meaning. Even, would you say, Jill, that it's more meaningful now that you're you know, working as part of Custom Dental Solutions versus just giving, you know, advice every once in a while?
Well, it's definitely helped my business grow. I mean, having the time to be there, but also learning from somebody that does have a different style. I mean, Corey definitely has more of that entrepreneurial drive. It's just more natural for her. So when you can work closely with somebody with those skills, there's no better way to learn from that. And when we can be there to support each other, and rather than, unfortunately, sometimes when you have women in business, they just see each other as competition, and they don't understand how they can benefit each other and learn from each other and grow together. So I think it's just a great learning experience.
Oh yeah. And I think it's wonderful that you know each other well, like through all your, you know, personality tests and conversations, because,
Yes.
you know, and something that, you know, you guys are demonstrating right now, and we talk about this too. It's one thing to take a test. It's another thing to delve into it and to really study it and to really understand it, so that you can understand, you know, Jill, it wouldn't be, I would guess it wouldn't be so fulfilling if you didn't know that you were working with a strong leader that likes to be in charge, likes to be in command, because
Yes.
then you trust that. You trust those decisions.
Right. And I think that's such a great thing with these team reports. I mean, we've seen that in the offices that we work with, that when that team understands each other better, how much that helps the business grow, how much it relieves stress and conflict within the office, how better they can serve their patients because they have that comfort level with each other and that understanding that they really wouldn't have otherwise.
My goodness. Well, you guys are not going to believe this. It's an hour. We were trying to keep these around half an hour. We've been talking for 1 hour. Yeah. So we're going to probably have to put this into a little podcast, and you can all see this back on our the reruns on our site. I'm going to give each of you a chance to say parting words to our lovely audience here. I want to thank everybody that joined us today. It's lovely that these women are all supporting all of us here, and it's just a gift. So, Corey, would you like to say in parting, and then Jill, we'll end with you, and we'll wrap it all up, guys.
All right. Well, Anne, thank you for having me and Jill. I can speak for both of us to say that we appreciate your time. And I know for me personally, I love your dedication to women in business and women in dentistry, and appreciate that so much. So thank you for introducing us to your network and your clientele and the people that you're serving as also. But if anybody would love to have more information about what we do at Custom Dental, of course, find us on all the social media and on our website, of course, is also. And then if you're interested, we're not trying to be exclusive. If you want to learn more about personal growth and you feel that maybe we can help you with that, please shoot me an email or find me on Facebook. We'd be happy to get you connected with a group as well. That could help you with that. Or if you want to take an assessment, you want to learn more about what drives you, give us a shout out and we'll help you out. So
that's fabulous.
Yeah,
Thank you,
sure.
Corey. Very, very generous. And I will take you up on that, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jill, how about you? Parting words?
Yes, well, and thank you also for myself. It's so nice to be able to spend time with you. We've talked over the phone, we've texted, but to be able to see you, and that is so much more meaningful. So it's very, very nice of you. But yeah, I think for anybody that wants to learn more about how you can serve your patients who might be facing a cancer diagnosis, I invite you to check out the information on my website, to reach out to me personally. My contact information is on there. And I'd love to provide your office with more information so you can serve them.
Oh, that's wonderful. All good things for all of us. And I just appreciate you guys so much. We're gonna see you soon. We're gonna thank you for coming. Jill and Corey, you two are dues extraordinaire. And we appreciate you so much. So I want to just say thanks for joining us again. Be safe out there, stay at home, get ready, and keep doing you. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.